You've heard about the crucifixion of Jesus. You know the story of the nails piercing his hands, the crown of thorns pressed against his head, and the indescribable suffering he endured that day. But what if I told you there's something about this event that has been hidden from most Bibles? An occurrence so extraordinary and powerful that only the Ethiopian Orthodox Church preserves it, and that this story involves two of the most powerful angels ever mentioned, Michael and Uriel, performing something unthinkable with Christ's own blood. What you're about to discover might completely change the way you view the crucifixion. This is one of the most hidden and mysterious events in the Christian faith, a secret that directly connects Christ's cross to an ancient African land and a divine purpose few know about. If you've never heard of this before, brace yourself for a stunning revelation. The scene at Golgotha is one of the most dramatic and meaning-laden in all of Christian history. The air was thick with tension and sorrow. The Roman soldiers, accustomed to the brutality of crucifixion, carried out their duty without hesitation, while the crowd split between those who wept and those who mocked. At the center of the scene was Jesus, suspended between heaven and earth, his body torn apart by torture. The Gospels recount every detail of that moment. The nails, the searing pain, the words of scorn from those watching him. But something happened that afternoon that few know about. As the hours wore on, a group of soldiers prepared to hasten the death of the crucified. This was common, as the Romans often broke the legs of victims to prevent them from continuing to breathe. However, when they approached Jesus, they noticed something strange. He was already dead. To confirm it, one of the soldiers took a spear and pierced his side. The Gospel of John describes this moment precisely. Immediately, blood and water flowed from the wound. But what no one saw was that at that exact moment, a celestial presence stood at the foot of the cross. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church preserves a secret tradition that mentions angels acting directly in that crucial instant. Uriel, one of the most mysterious archangels in Christian tradition, was there. Though his name is virtually unknown in Western Bibles, his significance is unquestionable in ancient Ethiopian traditions. Unlike Michael and Gabriel, whose presences are well established in canonical scriptures, Uriel remained on the fringes of texts accepted by the Catholic Church and Protestant denominations. Yet he was never forgotten in Eastern traditions. In that sacred moment, as Christ's holy blood dripped down the wood, Uriel was not alone. Michael, the great heavenly warrior, was also present. But what was the purpose of these mighty beings at that tragic event? According to writings preserved by the Ethiopian tradition, they didn't merely witness the scene, they had a specific mission to fulfill. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church holds a stunning account. Uriel, holding a divine chalice, dipped his wings into the blood flowing from Christ's wound. Each drop was collected with utmost care, for it wasn't just human blood. It was the blood of the Son of God, the ultimate sacrifice for humanity. But what these angels did next is what makes this story even more astonishing. Upon gathering the blood, Uriel and Michael received a divine command. They were to take this chalice to a specific place, Ethiopia. This connection between Christ's sacrifice and the African nation is something few know about, but it is deeply rooted in Ethiopian faith. According to this tradition, the blood collected by the angels wasn't just a symbolic act, it was a literal sanctification of that land. While most nations received Christianity centuries later through missionaries and conversions, Ethiopia has a unique relationship with the Christian faith. This country not only embraced Christianity early, but, according to this tradition, was chosen from the beginning to be a sanctified soil. The drops of blood that Uriel and Michael poured onto Ethiopian ground marked the nation as a holy place. What's most striking is that this tradition remains alive to this day. In various Ethiopian Orthodox churches, you can find depictions of Uriel holding a chalice filled with a red liquid. This chalice isn't just a symbol, it's a reminder of the divine role Ethiopia played in the story of salvation. But why was this story hidden from most Bibles? Why does only the Ethiopian tradition preserve this knowledge? The answer lies in the processes of scriptural canonization. In the early centuries of Christianity, many texts were examined to determine which would be included in the official Bible. Among the criteria were their connection to the apostles, acceptance by Christian communities of the time, and theological consistency. Texts mentioning Uriel, such as the Book of Enoch and 2 Esdras, were not accepted by Western church leaders. However, in the Ethiopian tradition, these writings were never forgotten. They continued to be passed down from generation to generation, forming the foundation of a Christianity deeply tied to the supernatural events of the crucifixion. Uriel's presence in that critical moment reinforces the idea that Christ's sacrifice had a far greater reach than what is generally taught. It didn't just redeem humanity, it also established a direct connection between his crucifixion and a land that would become one of the oldest pillars of Christianity. For Ethiopian faith, this story isn't just a symbolic tale, it's part of the country's identity. Monasteries and churches were built in the places where, according to tradition, Christ's blood was spilled by the angels. For Ethiopian Christians, participating in communion isn't just a ritual, it's an act that connects them directly to Christ's sacrifice, for they believe their soil was uniquely blessed. This tradition also raises an intriguing question. If Uriel played such a crucial role in the crucifixion, what other events might he have influenced throughout history? The fact that his name was removed from most Bibles could suggest that certain truths have been concealed over time. If Uriel and Michael played such an essential role in the crucifixion, why has this story remained hidden from much of the Christian world? To understand this, we need to go back to the early centuries of Christianity, when church leaders decided which texts would be accepted as part of the Bible and which would be rejected. Uriel's name appears in several ancient texts that were excluded from the official canon, such as the Book of Enoch and the 2nd Esdras. In these scriptures, Uriel isn't just a passive observer of divine events, but one of the most important archangels, tasked with enlightening humanity about sacred mysteries. He is a messenger of divine revelation, a guardian of celestial secrets, yet his presence in sacred texts was ultimately rejected by Western Christian leaders. Unlike Michael, the heavenly warrior, and Gabriel, the divine messenger, Uriel represents something more enigmatic, the bridge between hidden wisdom and human understanding. But why was his significance erased from the predominant Christian tradition? The answer may lie in the fear that early church leaders had about certain teachings that could challenge their established doctrines. Uriel was often associated with profound knowledge, sometimes tied to mysteries that, according to some, could be dangerous for those unprepared to grasp them. His appearances in ancient texts frequently reveal secrets about humanity's fate, the final judgment, and the interplay between the spiritual and earthly realms. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church, however, never abandoned Uriel's figure. For them, he has always been an essential part of the angelic hierarchy, playing a fundamental role in the divine plan. And that's why his participation in Jesus' crucifixion was preserved solely in this tradition. According to Ethiopian records, Uriel and Michael were present at Calvary not as mere spectators, but as active agents in fulfilling God's plan. When Christ's blood began to flow from his pierced side, Uriel acted immediately. He didn't just collect the blood in a divine chalice, he also played a crucial role in its destination. Here's a surprising detail. This chalice wasn't just an ordinary vessel. It was an object of immense spiritual power, created to preserve and sanctify the blood of the Son of God. According to Ethiopian tradition, this chalice was taken directly to Ethiopia, where it would be guarded and protected for centuries, far from the knowledge of the Western world. But why Ethiopia? The answer may lie in the special relationship this land has always had with Christianity. Unlike many other nations that received Christianity through the preaching of missionaries or the conversion of rulers, Ethiopia was linked to the faith long before it officially became Christian. There's evidence that Ethiopia maintained contact with the teachings of Judaism and later Christianity since Old Testament times. The Queen of Sheba, mentioned in Scripture, traveled to Jerusalem to meet King Solomon, and Ethiopian tradition claims that from this union a lineage was born that would continue to rule Ethiopia for centuries. Furthermore, one of the first Christians baptized in the Gospels was an Ethiopian, a high official of Queen Candace, mentioned in the Book of Acts. This shows that Ethiopia played an important role in Christianity from the start, and perhaps that's why God chose this land to receive Christ's blood. If this tradition is true, it means Ethiopia has a direct and unique connection to Jesus' sacrifice. While many nations became Christian centuries later through historical and political processes, Ethiopia would have been chosen from the beginning to be a sanctified place. But there's something even more striking. What happened to the sacred chalice? There are rumors that this chalice, containing Christ's blood, was kept in one of Ethiopia's oldest monasteries, protected by generations of devoted monks who dedicated their lives to its preservation. Some believe it still exists today, hidden from the world, awaiting the right moment to be revealed. This theory connects to another ancient Ethiopian legend, the location of the Ark of the Covenant. According to Ethiopian tradition, the Ark, which held the tablets of the Ten Commandments, was brought to Ethiopia millennia ago and remains protected to this day in the Church of St. Mary of Zion in the city of Axum. If Ethiopia truly holds both the Ark of the Covenant and the chalice containing Christ's blood, it would make this country one of the holiest places in the Christian world, safeguarding two of the most significant objects of the faith. But there's something that makes this story even more mysterious. Ethiopian churches depict Uriel holding this chalice in numerous religious paintings and icons. In some of these representations, his wings are stained red, symbolizing that he dipped his feathers in Christ's blood. This is a powerful image that reinforces the belief that Ethiopia was directly sanctified by God. The Ethiopian Orthodox tradition claims that Uriel and Michael's presence at Calvary wasn't an isolated event. They were there fulfilling a greater purpose, ensuring that Christ's sacrifice wasn't just a historical event, but an act with spiritual consequences for the entire world. But if this story is true, why was it erased from most Christian traditions? The answer may lie in the fact that over time, the Western Church began to focus on narratives that fit its official theology. Many texts deemed dangerous or mysterious were removed from Western Bibles, leaving only those passages that aligned with established doctrines. But the truth can never be completely erased. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church preserved this story for centuries, ensuring that future generations would know of Uriel and Michael's importance in the crucifixion. If this is true, it means there's much more to Christ's story than we've been taught to believe, that there are secrets yet to be revealed, that Jesus' crucifixion wasn't just an event of suffering, but a cosmic occurrence with ramifications that directly impact our reality to this day. This brings us to one final mystery. There's a detail about the crucifixion that most people have never noticed, something that could completely change how we understand Jesus' final words on the cross. You've probably heard about his last words, but do you know what they really mean? There's a hidden meaning behind those words that most people completely overlook, and without this information, we're missing the most important part of what happened that day. If you want to uncover this hidden secret, prepare yourself for an even more astonishing revelation.